5 callers calling around the clock, right? All outsourced, all in the Philippines. We kind of built that team internally. So we had, 10, 15 leads per day.
So, dude, let's kind of unpack the overall strategy a little bit. So one thing you mentioned a few minutes ago, you said, hey, cold calling, RVM's got my first deal. Cold calling is what really helped me to ramp things up. And I know you had several cold callers on at one time. You were kind of jamming on stuff. What did your numbers look like at that time as far as how many calls or how many leads would it take you guys to close a deal?
Sure. So at one point, I had 5 callers calling around the clock, right? All outsourced, all in the Philippines. We kind of built that team internally. So we had, 10, 15 leads per day in some cases. But with that being said, knowing the numbers and understanding, again, the difference between inbound leads and outbound leads, when we have a cold call lead, I would say our average lead to conversion, like lead to contract, is going to break down to about 1 in 60.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure it would be much more efficient having a stateside caller, right? Or calling yourself because you know the lingo, you know the mindset and how to relate to a seller in their unique distress situation.
Yep.
But in our business, it was about 1 in 60, right? So there came a time where I needed to ask myself, is this really honoring my time? Or now that I have an acquisitions manager, my acquisitions manager's time, weeding through all these leads. Like, yes, we'll pull out some gems, right? Yep. You got to sort through all the dirt to find that little nugget of gold. But when we really got efficient with inbound marketing, our SEO was ranking strong. And then, of course, PPC, pay per click, it changes everything. These are people that are raising their hands. Like you said, they've already identified that they need some type of a solution, right? Because whatever the case is, the common theme here is distress, right? Most people that we're called to serve are in distress situations. So instead of us just pulling lists that, the data has intellectualized and told us there's distress.
Yeah.
So we're aggressively reaching out to them where they're like, well, you called me, we're actually having people reach out to us, which our conversion rate for that's more like 1 in 8, 1 in 10. It's incredible.
Dude, and I want to drill this into everyone listening to this because I talk about this. So I've been talking about it for 6 years, 6 years here at Carey. I was talking about it way before that. But y'all, the inbound side, like Ben said, it's not immediate. It takes trust. It takes execution. It takes patience. Depending on the market, it's going to be anywhere between 4 months on like the lowest end. If you've already got a domain that's already getting some sort of traction, that's already got some sort of backlinks going to it, might be on the top of page 2, bottom of page 1 already. Minimum like 4 months if you're executing SEO well to a well done website that loads fast, it's set up right, all that kind of stuff. But usually it's going to be between the 8 and 14 month mark. In Dallas, Brian Rockwell, we've talked about his story a lot. It took him about 12 to 13 months to go from nowhere to number 1 in Google in Dallas with him executing. And he rolled up his sleeves and did all the work. He outsourced the PPC. He did all the work. And he said, man, I treat it like a college course. I would do 2 to 3 hours of work a day. Now, do you have to do that much? No. Like some people work faster. Some people work slower. It doesn't matter. But he was carving out somewhere between 8 and 10 hours a week to execute SEO himself that first 6 months. But last month, in the month of February, as of the time we're recording this right now, he did his largest month ever with PPC and SEO in Dallas, y'all, one of the most competitive markets in the country. He was not the first. He wasn't even the 100th Carrot customer in that market. Okay, you can win markets when you're not the first, 5th, 10th, 12th, 100th. Now, he did $200,000 in wholesale fees last month with
incredible
$25,000 in ad spend and then all the SEO momentum that he'd been building up for years.
Wow.
Which is crazy. So, dude, so you talked about the difference in inbound. Have you noticed any difference in your end, Ben, where the lead, so there's a couple things. Number one, your lead to close ratio, like you already mentioned, drastically increases on inbound versus any other marketing. Direct mail, cold calling, radio, TV, those are all good. I'm not saying not to do them, but one thing that Ben pointed out that is amazing was he said, I've got to respect my time and our resources well. Do we want to be hunting down all 60 leads, talking to people, wasting our time? And how much does that deal actually cost us when you consider our time in it versus focusing on a longer term strategy that builds momentum where it's 1 in 8? That's way better. But are you guys seeing any difference with your deal size on inbound versus outbound?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's night and day. And not only the deal size, like the amount of money you can work on it, but with the cold call leads, I cannot even tell you how many of these properties have liens, judgments, and all, they're bottom of the barrel properties, where inbound, more times than not, it's a nice home. It's a home that's worth more than $100,000. That's just a little bit deferred maintenance, or the person just needs help, right? Or loved one passed away, or they're behind on payments, whatever the situation, they're reaching out to us and it's something to work with, right? I don't know what it is, but something with the cold calling, we have run into a lot of title issues.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's probably the list, right? Whatever list you're pulling, there's that issue that's going with it.